Okay. Morning, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your break from me last week. And thank you, thank you. Um, we we started the morning blessings and the weekday tefillah. Actually, all that unit, just kind of to bring us back, all that unit of Birkot HaShachar, the morning blessings, all that unit of the beginning of the morning service is something that we recite every day. It's every day, regardless to Chagim, Shabbat, weekdays, all that kind of stuff. This doesn't change pretty much, as we shall see. So we spoke about last time. We spoke about Modeh Ani, just kind of reminding you this idea of Modeh Ani, of this attitude of gratitude, setting up the priorities for our day. Then we have Netilat Yadayim. We talked about this idea of what water symbolizes and what specifically Netilat Yadayim, and the idea of the symbolism about hands representing actions and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about Asher Yatzar, thanking God for all, for the fact that our body is functioning. Which brings us to, I think, Elohai Neshama. I don't know, maybe we discussed that already last time or not, but in any event, what? Page 7 on the top. We're today with using the Koren Siddur. So we're page 7 on the top. So Elohai, my God, the soul you placed within me is pure. You created it, you formed it, you breathed it into me, and you guard it while it is within me. One day you will take it from me and restore it to me in the time to come. As long as the soul is within me, I will thank you, Lord, my God and God of my ancestors, master of all works, Lord of all the souls. Blessed are you, Lord, who restores souls to lifeless bodies. A couple of ideas here. When we talk about the word in the third line, ata verata, right? Verata comes from the root of bara, to create. What is the difference between yetzira, the shoresh of yatzar, yud tzadik, which is to do, to create, to make in English, and bara? So bara is correct. That's bara. Bara is yesh me'ayin. You create something out of nothing. Okay, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz. The beginning of the Torah. Right? God created the world and the heavens. It's creation out of nothing. And Yetzirah is to create something new from that which already exists. That's Yetzirah. I have a piece of cloth and I made a shirt out of it. Fabric, I made it into a shirt. That's Yetzirah. Bria is what God created the world. There was nothing. So what we're saying is, you gave me a pure soul. Now, you've created that soul out of nothing. Okay? So God has created that soul, then Yetzarta, then you made something with it, right? It's Yetzirah, it's something new out of something, right? So he did something with that neshama. And finally, he placed that neshama, that soul within me, with that body. So I had the body, created the soul, did something with that soul, and then put that soul in that body. Okay? So the understanding here that God has made all of us, right? Because this is for every person, but God has made the Yetzirah, so the process in making humans perhaps is the same of out of nothing. However, the Yetzirah part of it, it means that he fashioned us all in a different way. We're all different.
The personalities preordained.
No. What I'm saying, it's the process. Like, in order to create. Okay, we started with fabric, so I don't know why. In order to make fabric, the process is the same process. Okay, you take the cotton, you get the cotton from the field, you work whatever the process is, and you finally make a fabric. What are you going to do with that fabric? That's a totally different thing. One piece of fabric is going to be a shirt, and one is going to be pants. So we're all different. The process in which God created our neshamot and created us is the same process. But what he's done with that later on, the fashioning it, those bodies, those souls, is different. This is why we're all different, both, I think, physically and also in terms of our spiritual being. Why am I talking about that? Why this is important? It's nice to understand, okay, we're all different. That's fine. But much more important than that, it means that we're all created in the image of God. We're all equal before God. That's the point. And what it means that no one human being is superior to another, at least in their potential. What do you do with your life? That's a different story later on. But we're all created equal. Same process, same mechanism. Even though we're different, same mechanism. And I think this is the statement that this paragraph, this tefillah, is trying to teach us. Okay? Goes back, of course, to this idea of the gratitude. I thank you, God, for all that time. As long as I'm alive, okay? We believe this is part of, Jewish theology. We believe that there is something that happens after the physical death of the body. The soul, I don't know what, something happens. The soul somehow continues. So as long as the soul is within me, it means I'm alive, I thank you. I thank you, God, for that gift of life. Okay. You can expand on that and talk about human rights, and you can talk about this idea of, like, if the soul is created by God, it means that by default, all people are born, or mankind is inherently good. You can make that argument as well. What happens later, it's a different story. Okay, so these are kind of like the ideas that are happening in this paragraph, and this is why it's so important. Okay, in the middle of the page, we come to tzitzit. Tzitzit or talit katan, or okay, we're all familiar with that. What is this? What is it coming from? Why this is here? Well, usually after we get up in the morning, we go to the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. Then you get dressed. Okay. Where's the obligation for tzitzit comes from? It's from the Torah, right? We know it's the third parsha, the third paragraph in the Shema. We recite it several times every day. And the Torah is very clear, said that if you have a four-corner garment, you put a tzitzit those tassels, the strings on that garment. Today, we don't have such garments anymore. And therefore, and it's not only today, it's already been for a while. If you look at, even by the way, some of the Arabs, like they wear the galabiot. So this is like still, like they have like a big bed sheet, I guess, something like that.
It's because it's a defined pointer.
Correct. No, but I'm saying, like, so in some cultures, people still wear those clothes. Most people don't wear clothes, at least in Western society anymore. And because of that, the rabbis came up with this garment, the talit, or the tzitzit, the talit katan that we wear. So we will be able to fulfill that mitzvah. So on a biblical level, the mitzvah applies only if you have such a garment. But if you don't have, it's not that you have an obligation to wear it. It's just a custom. So the rabbis, well, it's a custom. It's a very strong custom. It's not like, so there's no biblical obligation. Rabbinic, yes. Okay. So therefore, the rabbis came and said, okay, if we're not going to create that with, that garment or something, we're not going to have the opportunity to fulfill that mitzvah. Okay. Fine. Couple of ideas. Quick ideas about the tzitzit itself. Tzitzit in numeric values is 613. Actually, it's not. It's 600, but plus the knots and the 8 strings, it brings you to the 613. What's the symbolism of tzitzit? The pasuk says, "Uritem otos chotem kol mitzvot Hashem." Right? What's the symbolism? How that happens? If I'm looking at a piece of like a couple of strings, how that's supposed to remind me of the mitzvot?
Well, it's 613.
Okay, but like if I'm gonna, look at this thing, how that's supposed to remind me of the mitzvot? How? So the Gemara deals with that, and the Gemara says, well, the point of the tzitzit is that you have specifically in it ptil tchelet. Okay, we're going to get into this discussion of the tchelet in a second. So a blue string. Okay, so there's a lot of discussion about that, especially in later years. But what is the idea of the blue string? The blue reminds you of actually the ocean. The ocean reminds you of Shamayim, of the heavens, and the heavens reminds you that there's a God over there, and God commanded us with all those mitzvot. So it's a process that's supposed to get us some sort, it's a process of, what do you call it? Something that reminds you. I forgot the word. Yes.
There used to be a saying, to remember something, you tie a string around your finger.
Right.
So it seems that it evolves.
It's not only that. Some people like take their watch and they flip it, for example. It's something that reminds you, something that creates a connotation, something that is like, oh, because of that, oh, I have to remember something. Right? Today we just like take our phones and look.
To me,
Is connected specifically to tzitzit? Maybe it's an interesting thought. I always thought it was like something unusual that I do. It's like, oh, why do I have this string here on my finger? Oh, because I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. So that's the idea of the blue. If we're already talking about that, so there's another philosophical, theological idea behind the blue. I don't remember where I saw it. I think it's Rab Sherki that wrote it. I'm not 100% sure. Blue, and we have archaeological findings that prove that blue was expensive, and it was kind of used by the royalty. definitely used by the Kohanim, the priests, in terms of the Beit HaMikdash. So what is the idea behind that? If everyone has to wear that, it means that it gives you that sense of, I'm special, I'm royalty. Even if I can barely buy food, I have to remember that I'm special and I'm royalty in the eyes of God. It's a beautiful idea.
That's what it says. I know who the name Arlene, so it would be like in line with that.
Correct. So the idea is that we are all noble. That was that was the distinction of the noblemen at that time, that they were able to have color, because the process in dyeing fabric was extremely expensive.
Especially getting the dye out of.
So that's the next point. For the Talmud discusses, like, okay, so what is the source of that blue? How you got that color blue? And that the Gemara talks about this snail, basically. Okay, over the years, that tradition has been lost. Okay, we're not sure what kind of snail is this, and you got to understand, if it's something that some sort of a snail that was in Israel, and when they're in exile, there's a good chance that that snail is not around, right? So anyway, that tradition was lost, and therefore we stopped using, for many years, we stopped using blue in the strings. Fast forward about 150 years, this idea start to percolate again, and the Admor, the Rabbi of Razin, is dealing with that. He does some research. There's some others that make research, and there's a whole thing trying to delve into that. What is this? You got to understand, Jews are already back in Eretz Israel. They say, okay, maybe we can find that. What is going on? What's the source of that? What is that snail? Make a long story short, there are two main theories. One is the Radzin. It's a little bit different blue. What I think kind of the opinion, kind of the vast majority opinion that said, if it's any of the blues, it's what we call the Ptil Tchelet. Ptil Tchelet is started about 40 years ago, something like that, based on a lot of research and everything, and they claim that they were able to identify that snail. Not only that, how to produce that color from that snail. If you want, they have like a whole visiting center. It's in Gush Etzion. You can go and you can see that. I think it's Gush Etzion. Outside of Yerushalayim.
Went to some museum, archaeological museum in Jerusalem, we saw it, and I have a book that comes with it, explains.
Yeah, I have a bunch of books also, but I think that their farm, where they have like those snails and like the process and the whole thing, I think it's outside of Yerushalayim. It's a fascinating thing. A lot of people, it's a definitely growing trend. I try to have blue in my talit. You can buy it on Amazon even, also.
No, it's CT.
Yeah, some of them, but it's expensive. It's very expensive. Like a set is like $100, and then without the tying. Yeah, I do the tying myself. So, but yes. Anyway, so that's that. I think by now I covered all the different approaches, all the different opinions on how to tie it. Like there are like, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them. I think I covered by now. I covered them all. I have like one tzitzit or one talit at least with every shita, just to be on the same. It's correct. I don't know. Yeah, if you can go to tchele.com or tchelet.org, like with a KH, tchelet with a KH, on the website and learn all about that. Anyway, moving on. Turn the page. We're on page 9. These are the Torah blessings. So these are the Torah blessings, but they're slightly different. So we are familiar with the Torah blessings because during Torah reading, when you have different people getting the aliyot, they say 2 Torah blessings, one before the kriyah, before the reading of the Torah, one after. The one that we see here in the bottom of the page, blessed are you, Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all the peoples and given us his Torah. Blessed are you, Lord, giver of the Torah. This is the blessing that we're familiar with, that we recite before the Aliyah. So what is it that we're saying here, and why, and what's going on here? Let's take a look at the first. So it's divided into 3 sections, right? The first one says, blessed are you, Lord, our God, King of the universe. Okay, so far so good. It's the regular formula. Who has made us holy through his commandments, this regular part of the formula, and has commanded us to engage in study of the words of Torah. La'asok b'divrei Torah. To be engaged with the study of Torah. Then there's an expansion of that. And please, Lord our God, make the word of your Torah sweet in our mouths and in the mouth of your people, the house of Israel, that so that our descendants and the descendants of your people of Israel, of your people, the house of Israel, may all know your name and study your Torah for its own sake. And then the Chatima, what we call the ending of the bracha. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you, Lord, who teaches Torah to his people Israel. What is going on here? Why do I make a bracha, I make a blessing on study of Torah if I'm not going to be studying Torah? Our Torah study today started a little bit after 11. So why am I making a bracha? I'm making a blessing at 6 o'clock in the morning as part of my morning tefillah. I'm already, it's there. I'm not going to be studying Torah until 11. So why? I mean, it's not that I can make a bracha. Okay, I'm going to make hamotzi lechem min haaretz in the morning, and then I'm going to have my sandwich only in the afternoon. Right? Over le'asiyatan, that's the rule of brachot. You make the bracha, boom, you need to go to the action, right? You whatever bracha, put on tefillin to hear the shofar, hear Megillah, whatever that is, any bracha, any blessing. Okay, you're gonna have your apple today. Bore pri ha'etz, you need to give a bite. You need to take a bite. It's not gonna you're gonna wait with that till. So why am I doing that at this point so early? Yes.
Studying Torah is so essential to be a Jew, and that's why we make a bracha in the morning.
Why?
And to cover.
Yeah.
That we must learn Torah immediately at the bracha. There is some learning Torah that is Gemara and Mishnah.
Correct. So that is, I understand. The technicality, I understand. So this blessing is not going to be in vain. Immediately we have the rabbis instituted, you'll see in the next paragraph, in the next page, some form of Torah study. I get it. But that's kind of like it's doing it backwards, right? Don't give me that Torah study and don't put this blessing here. Okay. So yes, that's a nice idea. But to get a little bit more technical, first of all, a lot of people got up before dawn and learned. I remember my wife's grandfather lived here in town, used to get up at 3:30 every morning, and like before 4 o'clock already in the kitchen. He was in every morning before 4 o'clock, and you're already learning every day, 4 a.m. Before, and only like later on at like 6, I think 6 or 6:30 went to for Shachrit. So there's this concept. That's number one. So you're not allowed to start learning Torah before making the blessing. It's just like I can't take a bite from my sandwich before I make hamotzi. It's the same idea. So that's number one. Number two, it's here as part of the service because my service is going to have parts of Torah study in it already. So in order to take care of that problem, I'm doing it. Now, what's interesting about that once I make those blessings, I'm good for the whole day. If I'm having 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I need to make a separate blessing, right? Let's assume that the fact that I made hamotzi on a piece of bread on breakfast, it's not gonna work for dinner. I have to do another hamotzi if I'm gonna have bread, right? But with this, it's fine. Once I recite those blessings, I'm good for the whole day. Why? Why is the difference? Why am I covered? Why? Now it's 11 o'clock. We start our class. We have Torah study. We should be reciting Torah blessings again. Why not? Why am I covered, so to say, for the rest of the day? You know why? Because Torah study, and this is an important theological idea, Torah study must be translated into actions. The way I act, the way I interact, the way I do my business, the way I deal with other people should be a direct outcome of my Torah study. And therefore, everything I do is affected by it. If I think that my Torah study is something theoretical that stays within that time frame that I designated to learn, then I miss the whole point. Torah study must be translated into actions. Torah study must be translated into behavior, into how I conduct myself. And so, even though it's not a formal Torah study, which I'm going to have the technicality, in the next page I have Torah study. I'm good. Check the box. But even like the moment I'm done with the shacharit, with the morning service, and I go to my office, or whatever that is, it has to stem from that Torah study. It has to be a direct correlation between the two. And because the hope and the understanding is that I continue my interactions with everything I do is a result of my Torah study, that means my Torah study never stops. Pretty scary when you think about it. And welcome to Judaism. Correct.
You think that you're not. It's like it's not so active.
Right. It could be subconscious. That's fine. But the point is, God forbid, if we behave, let's call it in non-Torah way, whatever that means to you. That's the expectation. Do you understand how high the standard is? This is why it's so essential. Okay. Couple of motifs here. Asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim. Chosen us from all the peoples, right? We talked about that in the context of Ata v'chartanu mikol ha'amim when we discussed the Shalosh Regalim. Remember Rav Hirsch, all explanation what it means, right? We were chosen for a particular task. It doesn't mean that we're better than others, but it means that we were chosen for a particular task, okay? So what is our responsibility? Our responsibility in a nutshell is to be a light unto the nations, to teach, to show the way of morality, of ethics, of justice, compassion. Another idea is what? Is chinuch, education. We ask God that we and our descendants and the descendants of all your house of Israel will all know your name and study your Torah. That's where this is coming from. It comes because there is an obligation, vishinantam levanecha, to teach your children, to educate your children, not just in general studies, so they can make a living and contribute to the world, but also in Torah. It's actually Torah kadma lederech eretz, Torah first, because you want them to be mensches before scientists, right? Okay, interesting word, veha'arevna, second paragraph, veha'arevna, from the word what? Arev. Arev is, well, we translate it here as sweet, but it's not really, it's like tasty. Some people are not into, right? When we say arev lechiki, it means I find it tasty. It's good for me. It's not necessarily sweet. Some people are more salty. Some people are whatever. Everybody, but it's. I find it tasty. I find it appealing, right? So, because we want the Torah to be that for us, because we say the ways of the Torah are darchei noam, the pleasant one. So I want it to be pleasant for me. I want it to be tasty. I want to have that. I want to be appealing to me. And it's very similar. The rabbis made that connection. It's the same format, the same idea as Birkot HaNe'anin. It's like when the bracha, the blessing that I make over food, for example. I'm going to benefit from the food that I eat. Hopefully it's tasty. Also, there's a discussion, by the way, there's a discussion in halach reviews. What if you make a bracha about something and it's absolutely disgusting? Like, for example, let's assume you're about to eat a yogurt. You made a bracha, you take the yogurt, and it's spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, you already made a bracha before. I don't know. I checked the date. It's fine. Right?
What's the name of jelly beans? Everybody.
Jelly beans.
Whatever, jelly belly.
Jelly bellies, yes.
So they had this like weird flavor.
Oh, yeah. They still have it. There's a game.
On that question based on those jelly beans.
Well, over there, you know that you buy them specifically. Trust me, because we went to the Jelly Belly factory, and we bought those specifically. And there's actually a game that it's like kind of a whatever, and you either get the good flavor or the bad flavor, and for each good flavor, there's a bad flavor. Some of them are absolutely horrific. It's a fun game. My kids used to play it until we ran out of Jelly Bellies. In any event, over there, you're getting a bad one because it comes in a special bag, and and you paid more for it. It's the bad ones. Okay. But what happens if, like, you literally you open the yogurt and it's like So maybe you should smell it before you open it, before you put it in your mouth. Okay, that's my suggestion. What? That's what I'm saying. Smell it first. Okay, anyway. So now I'm going to allude to the next page, and that's what Terry is talking about. Just like every mitzvah, right? Since I have a blessing, so I have a concept of over le'asiyat, and you need to go right into the mitzvah itself. And because we made those blessings, in order not to create an interruption, I go right into Torah study. Now, the Torah study, if you flip the page 11, we have the Torah study that is one from the Torah, like we have a section from the Torah, section from the Mishnah, and section from the Talmud. And that is based on the concept of what Chazal said, Le'olam yeshalesh adam shnotav b'mikra, b'mishnah, u'b'gemara. That means that the classic approach to study, Torah study, at least at that time in history, was third of your time is Torah, Chumash. Third of your time is Mishnah, and third of your time is the Talmud, whether it's Agadita, whether it's like Halacha, whether it's the other stuff. Okay, today we're not very strong on that model because they're like, we're further away from that point of history, and there's like other things to learn. People want to learn Hasidut, some people want to learn Musar, some people want to learn Tanakh, like Navi, etc. Some people, so whatever. But the classic is third. So therefore we have Psukim, right, from the book of Numbers. This is Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. Then we have a Mishnah. The Mishnah is Mishnah from Pe'ah, the first Mishnah. Why that particular Mishnah? Because it talks about what? These are the things for which there is no fixed measure. What are those things? Basically, forms of charity, acts of kindness, and study of Torah. In those three fields, those three areas, there's no limit. The better you get, the better you do, you invest, you whatever, the better it is. Why the next paragraph? So you understand why it is connected to the blessing of Torah study. Because he said, Torah study is one of those things that you can do without any limits. And the more you do, the better it is. Same concept is for the next paragraph from the Talmud. It's actually a Braita, but whatever. It talks about these are things whose fruits we eat in this world, but whose full reward awaits us in the world to come. Okay, honoring parents, acts of kindness, arriving early for shul. People kind of tend to forget that line somehow. Hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, helping the needy, all that kind of stuff, which are all wonderful acts of kindness. And the bottom line at the end, but the study of Torah is equal to them all. Some people take it too literally, and they immerse themselves only in Torah study. The problem is, as I mentioned before, when the Torah study remains as a formal, theoretical something, then we're missing the point. If you spend all your day in the yeshiva and you're not engaged in chesed, and you're not helping the needy, and you're not do what, all the other things, then my personal view, there's not much value to your Torah study. I don't want to get political, but this theological idea is the nucleus of current debate in Israel between the religious Zionism and the Haredi. And the whole idea of joining the army is exactly about the understanding of what is Torah study, or what is the purpose of Torah study. If you listen to, and I'm, you know very well where I stand. It's not a secret, but if you listen to the debate, and I'm not talking about the political debate, I'm talking about the theological debate between rabbis on two sides, you understand that this is exactly the nucleus of the debate. Now there's a whole big, right? We're all following the news. We know that like probably the hottest potato is whether the Haredi community should be drafted to the army or not. Haredi community objects to that. Everybody else in Israel say, no, you have to. We're in a war. You got to do it. What is the, I'm putting all the political issue aside for now. The theological, ideological, fundamental debate is right here. It means the understanding of what does it mean Torah study. Listen to rabbis at Tamir Granot or whatever. There's a bunch of them that either lost children, colleagues, whatever. There are a bunch of rabbis themselves got killed in the battlefield. And they say, we learn the same Torah. We learn the same Torah. The difference is that we take the theory and we make it into reality. There's no way that you can learn about Torah and it means, what does it mean? What are the conditions for a milchemet mitzvah, a war that is forced upon you, and you don't apply it? We both learned the Rambam. The Rambam says you take even the groom from his chuppah. In a case like that. And they said, like, if October 7th is not that case, then what is? You can't leave your Torah in the yeshiva. If it stays there in the yeshiva, it's not Torah. It's theory. It's intellectual acrobatics. This is, to me at least, that's the way I look at the fundamental, at the nucleus and the theological debate. And now there was always kind of like understanding, whatever, okay, fine, we have different lifestyle, it's all fine, we all worship God, we all okay, it's all, you have your taste, we do things and it's all good, fine. But now things are totally different. Things are different, and people say, no. There's no way that we learn the same Torah. We learn the same books. It's the same books. It's the same text. But our understanding is totally different. And that's, to me, it's the fundamental nucleus theological difference nowadays between the Haredi and the religious Zionist camp. So here again, the Torah, the Talmud Torah Kenet Kulam, is the reason why this paragraph is brought here. But again, if you engage only in Torah study, you don't do the other stuff, acts of kindness, arriving early to the shul, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, helping the needy, attending to the dead, devotion. If you don't do that stuff that the Mishnah is talking about, then what's somewhere late, somewhere early? It really doesn't. Hasidim are late.
Not necessarily.
Right, I just remember I do know something.
Okay. Okay. This is Okay. What do we have here? The next page we have the talit. It's basically okay. There's like all kind of Kabbalistic ideas, meaning there's like additions but it's not really core of the tefillah. The, again, the point is the talit itself. Is to put the talit. It's the same bracha as the tzitzit. The custom, at least the Ashkenazi custom, is to include both of them in one time. That means when I get dressed in the morning before I come to shul, I don't make the bracha on the tzitzit, on the undergarment, but I will, when I put on the talit, when I come to shul, I put on my talit, then that takes care, that blessing takes care of that. Why? It's technical, but okay. Then we have tefillin. When it comes to putting on tefillin, again, it's a mitzvah from the Torah. We can discuss it. In terms of the rituals, there's not much there. There's one difference that we probably need to highlight between Sephardim and Ashkenazim. Ashkenazim use 2 blessings, and Sephardim using 1 blessing, unless there's an interruption, and then they will use the second blessing. So the Sephardim see that as in one action, meaning the hand and the head is in one long action. The Ashkenazi view is that these are 2 different actions. Okay, and therefore it requires 2 different blessings. I want to stop here. We can talk about, but I want to stop here because on page what is this, 21 is Matovu. This is like where officially starts the, I don't know, subunit, call it, of when we walk into the shul. And so from this point on is the stuff that we say in the shul. Up until here, this is the stuff that we say, let's call it at home, between the time we wake up and we get to shul. So you're going to ask me, what are you talking about? You just talked about putting in talit and tefillin, and you're telling me you're not in the shul yet. Well, guess what? The original practice was you put on talit and tefillin at home, then you go to shul. Now, actually, some communities in Israel, especially in Yerushalayim, they still do that. For us, for practical reasons, especially living outside of Israel, not so great. I remember one time I was davening here, and I had to run to Hillel, to one of my kids, and I'm running in the middle of the davening with the tefillin, with the talit on me, like just to cross the Hini. It's like it felt so weird being in the streets, like, and on Olympic in Doheny with the talit. But if you go in Yerushalayim, especially in the old city, you'll see people walking with the tefillin the whole day. The whole day.
The custom of Beverly Hills.
It's based on that, but it's not only going to be here's the thing: the original intent of wearing tefillin was you put it in the morning, and you take it off when you go to sleep. You walk around with tefillin the whole day, and that was for generations, for many, many, many years. And the Mishnah talks about all those cases. You know what you do when you go to the bathroom. It's okay, you take them, you put them back, whatever. But you basically walk around with tefillin all day. Some people in Yerushalayim still do that. You're not going to see them with big tefillin like what we use. These are usually very, very small ones. You hardly see them and you hardly feel them. Why? Because again, just like the tzitzit, that I feel something that is a constant reminder of, let's call it, godly protection, my commitment to a certain lifestyle, etc., behavior, whatever. Same goes for tefillin. One of the laws is that you cannot, you need to be aware of having a tefillin on you the whole time that you have a tefillin. What happened? The rabbis realized people are incapable of doing so. It's a huge thing. People need to go to work. They need to deal with whatever, customers, this, that, life, all that kind of stuff. They're not thinking about their tefillin. If you're sitting in the yeshiva all day and you're learning, okay, that makes sense. But if you are outside in the world, it's not really practical. And therefore, the rabbis instituted, okay, we use tefillin only for the time of davening. Some people, even today, will use tefillin also during Torah study. If you go, it used to be at least, Rabbi Graydon's, the kollel, his practice, I remember when they were here in this very room, he wore tefillin like almost until lunchtime every morning, because from the morning tefillah into learning nonstop. So his first break, then he took off his tefillah. I don't know if that's his practice still today. So this is why putting on talit and tefillin is still like in that section of the stuff that you do at home. Today, our practice is to get everybody has a fancy bag and whatever, all that kind of stuff. And we get here and then we put it on. Yes. At least I mean, I think like around the time, it's the time of the Talmud, like around like that time, or maybe immediately after. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna continue next week from here, and that's that for today.
That was so interesting. Very.
Hey.